Si un député participe
If a member participating in person wishes that the motion be carried or carried on division, or if a member of a recognized party participating in person wishes to request a recorded division, I would invite them to rise and indicate it to the chair.
The Government Deputy House Leader.
The Speaker would like a recorded vote.
Conformément à l'article
Pursuant to Standing Order 45, the division stands deferred until Monday after question period.
Order. Statements by members. Déclaration de députés. Le député de Ottawa Centre.
Really hope that all members had a fantastic summer in their home communities. Mine was no different. Of course, some quality time with my family, especially my kids, but also a lot of engagement with my constituents. In particular, Speaker, I really took the time to listen to my constituents in terms of their views on the upcoming budget that will be tabled soon in this House. I sent a householder to all my constituents, and I've received hundreds and hundreds of responses back. When it comes to building a strong economy for today and tomorrow, the residents of Ottawa Centre wants us to break down internal trade barriers. They want us to invest in nation-building projects and expand trading relationships, not to mention support workers through more apprenticeships and training. My constituents also want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to lower the cost of essentials, speed up the construction of affordable homes, and improve access to health care, including mental and dental care services. My constituents, Speaker, wants us to have strong partnership with our allies and keep investing in our security.
Le député de Chicoutimi.
The honourable member for Chicoutimi-Lafjord. In 1971, after just 6 games in the NHL, Ken Dryden won the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy for MVP in the playoffs. This was the first of 6 Stanley Cups in 8 years he would win in his career with the Montreal Canadiens. The next year, he was named the best new recruit, an unrivaled feat, known for his unique posture where he would lean on a stick, watching his team swarm the opposing net. He ended his career with 5 Vezina trophies for best goaltender. He also defended our country in the 1971 Series of the Century against the USSR. His achievements on the rink and off it are just remarkable. But Dryden was more than an athlete. He had a law degree and served Parliament as Member for York and Minister of Social Development. Mr. Dryden left an eternal mark on our society. We will always remember him as a symbol of success and a great Canadian.
The Honourable Member for Guelph.
Mr. Speaker, on August 16th, Guelph General Hospital celebrated 150 years of service to Guelph and Wellington County. What began with just 12 beds and 3 nurses has grown into a cornerstone of care for more than 200,000 people in our region. Through its expansions and innovations over the years, Guelph General has always shown an unwavering commitment to care for the patients and families at the heart of their mission. To everyone who has contributed to this legacy, nurses, doctors, all the staff, volunteers and leaders, and donors past and present, thank you. Day after day, decade after decade, you give your time, expertise, and mostly your heart to others. This milestone belongs to you. The next chapter begins now for Guelph General as it works to secure approval for a new hospital to meet the community's evolving healthcare needs. This takes patience, perseverance, and innovation. But with the spirit that has animated GGH for the last 150 years, we know it's possible. Congratulations, Guelph General. Félicitations.
The Honourable Member for Kenora-Kiewitenok.
It's great to be back for this fall session of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, and I continue to be grateful to the people of Northwestern Ontario for their continued support. I am here with our Conservative team to work with all members in this House. We are committed to holding this government to account by opposing what is wrong and proposing alternatives in the national interest. Some of our priorities this fall, Mr. Speaker, are addressing the Liberal cost of living crisis, unemployment and rising crime rates. Conservatives are fighting for stronger take-home pay with lower costs and more jobs for Canadians, safer streets by locking up criminals and securing our border. We must also ensure we can open the country for business by cutting taxes and approval times on pipelines, mines, LNG, and more major projects to support our economy and sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, in this Parliament, our purpose remains to restore the promise of Canada, that hard work earns a good life with affordable food, homes, and fuel in safe neighbourhoods, and that's what we are fighting to deliver for all Canadians. Thank you.
The member for St. Boniface, St. Vital.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, it is with great sorrow that I rise today to speak to the death of Miss Paulette Duguay, who passed away on August 17, 2025 in St. Boniface, Manitoba.
French-Canadian communities. She served as president of l'Union Nationale Métis Saint-Joseph du Manitoba for 10 years, promoting reconciliation, preserving Métis culture, and strengthening ties within the Francophone community. Her commitment and impact were recognized nationally in 2024 when she received the King Charles III Coronation Medal for her exceptional service. L'influence de Madame
Ms. Duguay's influence can be seen through her leadership and her relationships, as well as the lives she touched. Her friends and colleagues remember her as a warm, generous, and caring person. On behalf of this House, I would like to express my sincere condolences to her husband, Denis Duguay, her family, her friends, and the many communities that she served so devotedly.
Before I go to the next member, just a reminder to members, do not cross in front of the speaker who is speaking and the speaker. It's not just for videos, but it's also a long custom and practice of this House. Le député Côte-du-Sud.
The Honourable Member for Côte-du-Sud, Rivière-du-Loup, Kataskamik-Temiscouata. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I am proud to highlight a number of organizations in my riding who are celebrating important anniversaries, each of which contributes to our community's vitality. The Kamouraska Circle of Farmers is celebrating 70 years of knowledge transmission and solidarity. The 50 and Up Club of Squatek is celebrating its 50th anniversary, as is Magny Gym, representing half a century of passion for sport. In St. Pascal, the 50 and Up Club is celebrating 55 years of engaging with seniors. CARE Mamani Lile is marking 25 years of supporting individuals and employers, as the Mamani Lile CDC is celebrating 15 years of community mobilizing. The Papote Land des Aulnay is turning 30, as is Tandem Jeunesse, and the Symposium de Peinture Projection 16 to 35 is celebrating 40 years of supporting young adults. To all of these organizations, their volunteers and partners, thank you for your devotions. Congratulations on these anniversaries. And all of this speaks to your lasting impact on our region.
MP for London Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to pay tribute to Colour by Schubert, an extraordinary London business in place since 1982, carrying out custom image framing, restoring trusted images, and doing incredible high-quality prints for decades now, Mr. Speaker. The photography world has changed, as we know, but what's never been unwavering is their commitment to their customers and to our community. This is an extraordinary business, and as Roland and Moira and David move towards retirement from the business, I want to thank them for serving our community. I speak from some experience, Mr. Speaker. Our family has had work done by Colour by Schubert. It's always been the best. You can't say more about an outstanding business like this. They have supported organizations as well throughout the community over these years. They are tremendous people and a testament to the power of entrepreneurship in our community. Again, Roland, Moira, and David, we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you very much.
The member for Richmond Centre Marpole.
Mr. Speaker, promises don't build homes, builders do. The Prime Minister promised Canadians 500,000 new homes per year. Instead, he's delivering a new housing bureaucracy that will build just 4,000, another Liberal bait and switch. Housing starts are collapsing, down 49% in the GTA, 65% in Toronto, and even Vancouver is falling. Families are now spending 55% of their income just to keep a roof overhead, the worst in the G7. Homelessness is doubling, and 70% of Canadians say owning a home is impossible. The Prime Minister says he's working with local governments to solve this crisis, but municipalities call that nothing more than passing the buck. Canadians know the truth. The Prime Minister builds bureaucracy, not homes, and Canadians cannot live in promises. They need homes.
The Honourable Member for Laurentides-Labelle, Michelle Beauduc. If I say her name today, it is because he's a pillar of our social fabric, a social organizer with expertise in homelessness and drug addiction. He's had a great influence on Quebec society. I worked with him for years, and I witnessed a man who never gave up. When he met someone homeless, he would not look at them with scorn and walk by. He would treat them with humanity. For 30 years, Mr. Speaker, the Lise Beauchamp House has served 30,000 meals, has hosted people overnight, all with a skeleton crew of employees. Michelle, thank you for all you have given to our community.
Grace Bay.
Mr. Speaker, railways make the transportation of essential goods possible and are crucial to our nation's supply chain. Every year, hundreds of incidents happen at railway crossings and along tracks, many which are preventable. This week, we celebrate and observe Rail Safety Week, and I want to highlight the important work of Operation Lifesaver. Now, this is a national program dedicated to promoting rail safety and preventing accidents. This is a moment, Mr. Speaker, to remind everyone to remain careful near the tracks. Let's commit to making our community safer by supporting Operation Lifesaver's message and practicing rail safety each and every day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Vernon Lake Country, Monashee.
Mr. Speaker, in Vernon Lake Country, Monashee, and across Canada, families are being crushed by the cost of living crisis. After 10 long years of the same old Liberal government, everything costs more. Groceries, rent, mortgages, gas, and everyday essentials that Canadians rely on. The Prime Minister asked to be judged on the cost of food at the grocery store, and the verdict is not good. I hear from parents forced to choose between paying bills and feeding their kids, and from seniors cutting back on medication just to make ends meet. And the high cost of living isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about people's lives. It fuels anxiety, despair, and a growing mental health crisis. These heartbreaking choices are not normal, and they should never be acceptable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. Hardworking Canadians deserve better. While local food banks do heroic work, they're filling gaps left by Liberal failure, and they're no substitution from leadership. Conservatives will cut taxes, bring down inflation, and make life affordable again.
The member for Don Valley North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to recognize the Firefighters National Memorial Day that falls yearly on the second Sunday of September. Across Canada, more than 1,000 firefighters have died in the line of duty, including 353 Toronto firefighters. They will not be forgotten. This summer, I had the pleasure of visiting fire stations and meeting firefighters across my riding of Down Valley North, a community fortunate enough to have 4 fire stations. I want to take this occasion to acknowledge their professionalism and commitment to keeping us safe. Every day, they stand ready to run into danger to save lives and livelihood. We owe firefighters and their families an enduring debt of gratitude, and I thank them for their service, their sacrifice, and their unwavering dedication to safeguarding Canadians across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Kamloops, Shuswap, Central Rockies.
Mr. Speaker, a ship without power or anchor will inevitably hit the rocks. Since the Liberals took over, Canada's GDP growth is the worst in the G7, clearly without power. The independent parliamentary budget officers quote, I don't know that the government currently has fiscal anchors. Without power or anchor, this Prime Minister has Canada's fiscal future headed for the rocks. The PB also stated, quote, labor markets suck, wages are not going up. Quote, at this point, it's impossible for us and for you as parliamentarians to assess the likelihood or probability of the government hitting any fiscal target. Since the Prime Minister took office, federal spending has gone up 8.4%. He boosted consultants by 37%, boosted spending on bureaucrats 6%. Justin Trudeau left a deficit of $42 billion. This PM's platform raised that to $62 billion. Some estimate it could cost double. It's time to ship around.
Député de Bourassa.
The Honourable Member for Bourassa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can say that the O'Brien NBA trophy weighs more than 25 pounds. Why do I know that? Because it was in my riding of Bourassa. Thanks to Benedict Maturan and Lugenstor, childhood friends who brought the cup home to Bourassa. They also brought home hope and pride for the youth of Bourassa. They also brought home a clear message about the need for infrastructure, because it doesn't make sense that more than 40,000 young people in Bourassa are forced to go to another riding just to get the infrastructure they need for training. They brought back pride, they brought back hope, they brought back that clear message that now more than ever, Bourassa must have an athletic center. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, after 6 months, this Prime Minister's record can be summed up as promises made, promises broken. The Prime Minister promised the fastest growing economy in the G7. Instead, he's delivered the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. The Prime Minister promised jobs and investment. He's killed 86,000 jobs and presided over a massive outflow of investment. The Prime Minister promised to spend less. Turns out, deficit spending has doubled. The Prime Minister promised nation-building projects. The record, no new permits, no new projects, and I could go on. Promise after promise made, promise after promise broken. With this Prime Minister, it's a broken record of broken promises. Canadians deserve so much better.
Hear, hear. The member for Tayayakan, Parkdale High Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize Canadian filmmaker Kunsang Kiryong and the cast and crew of her debut feature film, 100 Sunset. The movie premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival and won honorable mention for Best Canadian Discovery Award. 100 Sunset is set in a pair of apartment buildings in the Parkdale neighborhood in our riding. It's brought to life by non-professional Tibetan Canadian actors. In the words of the award jury, we experience the gossip, rivalries, and intrigues through the eyes of an observant young thief who rarely speaks but seems to register everything. I saw the movie 2 weeks ago and it's still with me. It's an intimate exploration of the Tibetan Canadian immigrant experience. 100 Sunset was also screened last week at the Review Cinema in the Roncesvalles area of Tayakan Parkdale High Park, where hundreds of members of our community joined in celebration to see their friends and family on the big screen. It's hitting more screens in Canada next year. Now, how did all of this happen? Well, 3 years ago, Kunsang Kiryong was able to make this film through support that she received from Telefilm Canada's Talent to Watch program, a brilliant Canadian artist supported by an essential Canadian institute.
Questions orales, oral questions. The member for Thornhill.
After 10 years of Liberal soft-on-crime policy, violent crime is up 50%, sexual assaults up 75%, gun crime up 116%. Just about everybody in this country is demanding bail reform, and yet the Liberals block it at every turn. Every single day, they delay. More rapists, gangsters, and repeat offenders are dumped back on our streets to victimize innocent Canadians. Why are the Liberals obstructing, fixing the broken bail system, and choosing to shield dangerous criminals rather than protecting Canadian families? Why don't they do something about it today?
Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, with respect to my honourable colleague, I'm sure she knows that we are moving forward with bail reform legislation that will be tabled in the House this fall. I had the opportunity yesterday to connect with a number of my critics, including the Conservative critic, to discuss items of mutual concern. Our belief on this side of the House is that we need to strengthen our bail laws and our sentencing laws to ensure that dangerous people who commit serious crimes and pose a public safety threat are not let to roam free on our streets.
For Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, he voted for all of the things to break our system. The now public safety minister actually said during the election that bail wasn't a problem, and the justice minister, who just answered that question, ridiculed Canadians with his Twitter hot takes. After years of headlines about violent offenders released again and again in our streets, the Liberals are obstructing a real solution right now to fixing bail. On Monday, they have a chance to vote for the 3 strikes you're outlaw, to end repeat violent offenders being churned out onto the streets. Do they really think Canadians should wait for the next murder, the next assault, or the next victim? Act now.
Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada.
Mr. Speaker, we agree that we need to take action to ensure that violent repeat offenders are not left on our streets. However, it's curious the strategy that the Conservatives have chosen. The law that they are putting forward now has been shown to be a failure in every jurisdiction in which it is tried. It is a theory that has come directly out of the United States. I don't know if the opposition was paying attention during the recent election campaign, but Canadians very much want laws to be developed in Canada. Mr. Speaker, this is Canada, not the United States, and my citizens who I represent from Central Nova would very much like to keep it that way.
The member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
After 10 years of patching catch and release laws that turn criminals loose on our streets, the Liberals are now obstructing jail not bail laws. In Nova Scotia, a man sexually assaulted more than 300 children and within hours was released on bail. This is outrageous. The same violent criminals are cycling through the system again and again. That's why our Conservative motion brings 3 strikes and you're out law, no bail after 3 serious convictions. On Monday, will the Liberals stop obstructing Parliament and pass it?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, the circumstances my honourable colleague raises are clearly engage heinous crimes that need to be taken absolutely seriously. I spent a number of the last few months meeting with law enforcement, meeting with people who work within the criminal justice system, meeting with people who have dedicated their lives and careers to improving public safety in this country. Not one of them has come forward with a recommendation that we should adopt the Conservatives' approach to this particular issue. Mr. Speaker, we will use evidence, we will work with the stakeholders who know what they're talking about to advance solutions that will actually make Canada a safer place. I hope the Conservatives will work with us.
The member for Brantford, Brant South, Six Nations.
If the Liberals really wanted to crack down on crime, they wouldn't cling to their catch and release laws that let repeat violent offenders back on our streets. For years, premiers, police chiefs, and mayors across the country have been pleading with this government while they defend laws that let criminals back on our streets. Enough is enough. Our motion is clear. After 3 violent convictions, no bail, no parole, no house arrest. Will the Liberals stop obstructing Parliament and pass jail, not bail, this Monday, yes or no?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, speaking of legislation, there is legislation before this House as we speak. Bill C-2, which secures our borders, which deals with the scourge of fentanyl, which brings order to our immigration system. That member has had many opportunities to get tough on crime by voting for Bill C-2. Where's he been, Mr. Speaker?
Great question.
The honourable member for Côte-du-Sud-Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, for the past 10 years, the Liberals have been laxist on crime with catch and release policies. We have to prevent these violent repeat offenders from getting back onto our streets. Crime is up 55%, and repeat violent offenders are safely walking around our streets without being behind bars. Why is this Liberal PM still protecting violent criminals rather than protecting Canadians? Mr. Speaker, in addition to initiatives my colleague has just announced, we also have an important bill coming up, C2, that will give police tools to fight crime in terms of fentanyl, firearms, and gangs. This will have a direct impact on our communities and the safety of our streets. We'll always be here to ensure the safety of our Canadians. The honourable member for Côte-du-Sud-Rivière-du-Loup. The Liberals promised that they would protect Canadians, but instead they have weakened our laws, opened up the doors to repeat offenders, and refused solutions from the opposition. Our proposal today is clear. 3 strikes and you're out. No parole, house arrest, or probation, 10 years behind bars to protect Canadian families. When will this government finally protect and prioritize Canadians and support the Conservative 3 strikes and you're out bill? When Quebec electors who are Conservative from the Bas du Fleuve asked if this Parliament could work to take action against crime and implement reform to prevent the import of illegal firearms and end the scourge of drugs in our streets, this member has the opportunity to vote for legislation and several occasions to vote for a bill, C2, that will clean up our legal system. The honourable member for Gaspésie, Les Îles-de-la-Madeleine and Restigouche. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals' prejudice against Quebec laws is obvious in their appeal against the notwithstanding clause. Ottawa is completely delusional. In its brief, the federal government justifies its attack on the clause by citing the possibility that Quebec could use it to authorize arbitrary execution or slavery. Well, let's reassure the government there's no appetite in Quebec for slavery or firing squads. Now, when will the federal government withdraw its contemptuous brief and its abusive appeal against the notwithstanding clause? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Mr. Speaker, clearly, there are issues of national interest, and it's essential for the federal government to defend its charter. As the member knows, this case is before the Supreme Court now, and they will look at the arguments. The Honourable Member for Gaspésie-Les-Îles-de-Madeleine. Mr. Speaker, the notwithstanding clause in Quebec has protect the foundations of Quebec's identity, such as secularism. It's also been used much more for practical purposes, such as small claims court and employment equity. Drawing parallels with the possibility that Quebec could use it to authorize slavery, execution, censorship, or the banning of places of worship shows the federal government's total disregard for the issue. When will Ottawa stop using the courts to wage its crusade against Quebec's laws? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to say that I am a member from Quebec. So, Mr. Speaker, the member across the way knows full well that the government is the party of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We protect and always will protect the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The member across the way and all citizens who elected us in our ridings, all Canadians, young and old, men and women, have these freedoms guaranteed by our charter for more than 40 years. And our government takes its responsibility to defend. The Honourable Member for Côte-Nord. Mr. Speaker, the notwithstanding clause was the condition without which the provinces would never have signed the Constitution in 1982. For Quebec, which never signed it, the clause remained too weak a safeguard against the federal government's desire to subject Quebecers to Canadian central authority. Today, even this weak assurance is too much for Ottawa. The Liberals want to weaken the notwithstanding clause and make it useless. This is not a legal battle being fought in the Supreme Court. It's a political battle against Quebec. Will Ottawa back down? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, my colleague knows well that the government's case with the Supreme Court will not prevent any province or territory to continue to use the notwithstanding clause. It's very clear. They know this, and if there are issues, I'd be happy to sit down with them and organize a presentation with the Department of Justice and myself in our sincere desire to protect the rights and laws of Canadians. These are rights that have been guaranteed for 43 years. It is sacred for Canadians across the country, from Newfoundland and Labrador to the Yukon.
Prime Minister was in Mexico this week, and when Mexico decided to get serious about its border, it deployed 10,000 new personnel in a matter of days. At the same time, the Prime Minister promised Canadians that he would hire 1,000 new border officers. So a very simple question to the Minister of Public Safety. How many officers have been hired and are deployed today?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, we are hiring 1,000 new officers for CBSA and new RCMP officers. We are going to see a drastic decrease in illegal firearms and fentanyl exports, and we will soon have all the necessary personnel to complete this work.
Member for York-Durham.
Mr. Speaker, in all of that, I didn't hear a number, but let me give him the number, because the information disclosed to this House by the Canada Border Services Agency says that the Liberals have hired 0 new officers. Oh. And it gets worse. It's worse. Not only have they not hired any officers, they don't even have a plan to hire any officers. So my question again is, when will they hire the border officers?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, not only are we hiring more than 1,000 officers, we're also adding helicopters, drone, and other equipment. We're taking action and making more arrests and finding more drugs. So it is working, Mr. Speaker. And in 2 weeks, we will see a graduation of new officers that will be helping out CBSA.
The honourable member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, people in Windsor and across this nation are tired of feeling unsafe and under siege in their own communities. For 10 years, Liberals have pushed catch and release. Violent repeat offenders arrested, then back on the streets, sometimes within hours. My former colleagues in policing are tired of arresting the same criminals over and over again. Conservatives have a clear solution. 3 strikes and you're out. Mr. Speaker, people out there are demanding jail, not bail.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for his question. I have immense respect for his service and those of his colleagues. However, I disagree with a number of points that he's made. He's referred to policies of the Liberal government, but he may not appreciate that the very policies he criticizes made it harder for people charged with intimate partner violence to get bail, made it harder for people to avoid sentencing when it came to serious crimes such as attempted murder or torture, Mr. Speaker. We are going to move forward with made-in-Canada solutions informed by experts who understand the context in this country to determine what will keep our country safe.
The honourable member for Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Speaker, after 10 years of passing catch and release laws that turn criminals loose on our streets, Liberals are obstructing the passage of common sense jail, not bail proposals. Violent crime is up 55%. In Niagara, residents were horrified when they heard the news of Daniel Senegal breaking into a Welland home and sexually assaulting a 3-year-old girl while her family slept. On Monday, will the Liberals accept our common sense proposal on criminal justice reform and pass our Conservative 3 strikes and you're out bill?
The Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell you, everyone in this House has a great deal of empathy. And nobody wants to see animals like that on our streets. That's why this government, our new government, has 3 initiatives in front of us. The first is the Strong Borders Act. The second is bail reform. The third is safe zone, hate zone legislation. These 3 initiatives have one objective: to go after the bad guys and put them away. The question is, will the Conservatives back us in being tough on crime?
Member for Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Speaker, the cities of Welland, St. Catharines, and Niagara Falls have all indicated that our justice system fails Canadians when repeat violent offenders are allowed back onto our streets. That's why common sense Conservatives have proposed a jail, not bail law, a 3 strikes and you're out bill, and more. Today, I will introduce a bill which proposes to keep monsters like Paul Bernardo locked up in maximum security where they belong. Will the Liberals support our common sense justice reforms to restore Canadians' confidence in our criminal justice system?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Well, I didn't hear an answer from the honourable member whether he was going to support our tough on crime legislation. So that's part one. I guess the canned answer you had prepared beforehand didn't prepare you for that. So that's okay. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. We have the Strong Borders Act. We have the Strong Borders Act that's going to hire 1,000 new CBSA officers, 1,000 new RCMP officers to go after the bad guys and put them away.
The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Under the Liberal government, the dream of home ownership has been pushed out of reach, with home ownership now costing 55% of Canadians' pre-tax income. Wow. Meanwhile, these Liberals are at secret cash for access fundraisers with developers, bankers, and lobbyists. But their conversations have not been reported to the lobbying commissioner. So before these insider deals drive prices even higher, will they tell us which members and which ministers attended?
The Government House Leader.
As you know, Mr. Speaker, Canada has some of the toughest ethics and fundraising guidelines in the entire world. The Liberal Party of Canada has in the past surpassed those guidelines, and the Liberal Party of Canada will always apply the rules and make sure that we follow the rules. We hope that the Conservatives can say the same.
That's right. Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Well, don't take my word for it. Reported in the Globe and Mail. Let's see what the commissioner has to say. Quote, the commissioner has complained in the past that some lobbyists and their clients use caucus and cabinet retreats as an opportunity to mingle with politicians without declaring the conversations to her office. Now, this is happening at the same time that this Liberal Prime Minister has made sure that their fundraising events are now, as a rule, closed to the media, closed to any scrutiny from the public. We're talking about the Prime Minister. We're talking about ministers. Exactly. We want to know who is in the meeting so we can find out who's going to get rich.
The Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, for years, the former member for Carleton skulked around the country without telling anyone where their fundraising events were while we were publishing them on our website. The Liberal Party has in the past exceeded the rules and exceeded the guidelines for these activities. The Conservative Party has not always risen to that high standard. We hope they do.
Yeah, I hope you do.
The honourable member for Pierre Boucher des Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, nothing's too good for the monarchy. The Governor General, once again, charged taxpayers $1,117 for shoes last year, $1,117 on shoes, and almost $7,500 on clothing. While Quebecers are talking to us about grocery prices, trying to explain to them that they have to pay for high heels for a monarch who earns $400,000 a year while they're facing inflation is tough. Mr. Speaker, the Governor General, like all of her predecessors, has a compulsive shopping problem. When will the government take away her credit card?
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, the Governor General has understood the important work that she has to do both in Canada and abroad. The annual budget was approved by the Parliament, and expenses are public for her function. We know that Canadians expect all public spending to be used judiciously, and this is a question that our government takes seriously, and we hope a woman can decide what she'd like to buy. The honourable member for Pierre Boucher des Patriotes. Mr. Speaker, the other ministers don't spend thousands of dollars like that, perhaps $100, but not thousands. Yet, she has an annual salary of $400,000 a year. Can she buy her own shoes? This reminds us that in 2023-2024 alone, the position of Governor General and all her royal entourage cost taxpayers, hold on to your hats, $59 million. $59 million wasted in 1 year to provide a luxurious lifestyle for a symbol that could be replaced by a stamp. $59 million wasted on a symbol of the domination of the people by foreign sovereigns. When will we stop this? Mr. Speaker, the annual budget of the Governor General was approved by the Parliament, and expenses are made public.
Canadians.
We know that Canadians expect all public spending to be done judiciously, and this is a question our government takes very seriously. Thank you.
The member for Regina, Wascana.
Mr. Speaker, in the not-too-distant past, the Liberal Party used to be the party of fiscal responsibility. I remember when former Finance Minister Paul Martin promised to balance the budget come hell or high water. But now Liberal deficits are causing inflation, and Canadians are paying the price. So my question to this Finance Minister, how much is this year's budget deficit, and will the Liberals ever balance the budget again?
Hear, hear. Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I know Paul Martin. I worked with Paul Martin. That MP is not Paul Martin. I can assure him that that party is not the party of fiscal responsibility. It is the party that had an outrageously expensive spending proposal in their platform. That was rejected in the last election. We're building the strongest economy in the G7. We are going to get the budget into operating balance. We are going to work to create opportunities in this country. Paul Martin would be proud of that, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Regina, Wascana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the comparison, but I didn't hear an answer in all of that, and so I'll ask again. In last year's fall economic statement, the budget deficit was $62 billion. A deficit of $62 billion was so embarrassing that the finance minister had to resign that morning rather than deliver the bad news. And so I'll ask again to this finance minister, how much is this year's budget deficit, and how high does it have to be before he resigns from embarrassment?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance have made it abundantly clear that Canada's new government has a renewed focus on fiscal discipline and that Budget 2025 will have strong fiscal anchors. Budget 2025, in fact, will refocus government spending on operations while making transformational investments in housing, defence and infrastructure. Those generational investments will get a return for Canadians. That return comes in the form of good-paying jobs for generations to come. That's how you build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker. That's what Canadians voted for.
The Honourable Member for Essex.
I received an email to my office recently. Part of it read, I went to Kingsville to buy some apples. Picked out 6 apples of average size, and the price was $8.50 for 6 apples. I left the apples and left the store without making a purchase. This Prime Minister is another bait-and-switch Liberal with more broken promises. After half a year to bring down food prices and the deficit, will the Prime Minister commit today to get inflation under control, or is his message to my constituents, how do you like them apples?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, this week I had the pleasure of meeting with the Canadian Teachers Federation. One of their top priorities, the National School Food Program. Healthy meals for over 400,000 kids, saving parents up to $800 a year in groceries. Every single province has signed on. Conservatives claim to care about food security, but at every opportunity they vote against teachers, families, and kids who know that healthy meals in schools is the right thing to do.
The Honourable Member for Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, Windsor has an unemployment rate of 11.1%, the highest in Canada. The Prime Minister came home empty-handed after tariff negotiations, causing people to tighten their purse strings because of the economic uncertainty that the Liberal government has caused. Women's unemployment rate has increased 12%, and now more people can't afford rent, gas, and food. Everyone worries about being the next person to get that pink slip. Which of my colleagues from across the aisle will bring their silver spoons to Windsor to help?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, 2.6 million Canadian jobs rely on exports to the United States, and Canada has the strongest trade deal of any U.S. partner. Our government's working closely with both the U.S. and with Mexico to modernize our supply chains and support Canadian exporters. We're focused on maintaining the benefits of CUSMA, preventing future tariff threats, and expanding market access. Standing up for Canada is what Canadians expect us to do. Standing up for Canada is what our government is doing.
The Honourable Member of Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Prime Minister promised to be elbows up. Instead, he's elbows down. The Liberal statistics show EI use among women aged 25 to 54 is up 12% in 1 month. I have women calling, asking where to find a job that will cover rent or groceries. Liberal economic mismanagement is putting women out of work. When will people in the BC interior see more job openings, not fewer?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, this is a government that continues to support measures like childcare, a school food program, dental care, a tax cut for 22 million Canadians, eliminating the GST for first-time homebuyers. We've got a plan to make life more affordable and to create the jobs that are going to create a secure future for families across the country. But Conservatives at every opportunity vote against these measures. Why?
The member for Winnipeg South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During the summer, I heard loud and clear from workers and investors across Canada that we have what the world needs, and they support the goal of becoming a clean and conventional energy superpower to build our future prosperity. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources share how the government is advancing energy and natural resources projects with Indigenous right holders across Canada and diversifying our exports so that we win this trade war?
Great
Thank you,
question.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Energy.
Well, I thank the honourable member for their question. We are putting one project, one review into action. BC and the federal government have jointly approved the new Silissum LNG export terminal, led by the Nisga'a Nation and built with the First Nations-owned pipeline. This project will be the second largest private investment in Canada's history and will export low-carbon LNG powered by renewable electricity. We've doubled the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program, and we are working with our G7 partners to establish the Critical Minerals Production Alliance. These measures and more are what will enable Canada to become an energy superpower and win this trade war.
The honourable member for Kenora, Kiiwetinoong.
Housing starts, but they have actually declined 16%. So let's take a look at his top officials. We have the housing minister who brought a 150% increase to the price of homes when he was a mayor. And we have a new head of a $13 billion housing bureaucracy, Mr. Speaker, who was a Toronto City Councillor that saw a 700% increase to building taxes. Mr. Speaker, is it any wonder that housing starts are down and bureaucracy is up with these two leaders running the point?
Secretary to the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians made it clear in the last election campaign that it is time to build, and that means building more housing at a pace that's not been seen in generations. That's why we have launched Build Canada Homes, which will be focused on building and financing affordable housing at a scale not seen in generations. This includes the first tranche of projects, 6 sites on Canada federal lands that will create 4,000 units, and we're also releasing $1 billion for supportive housing and $1.5 billion for the Canada Rental Protection Plan.
The member for Kenora, Kiiwetinoong.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are only building more bureaucracy to try and address the housing crisis that they created. $13 billion to build 4,000 homes. That's $3.2 million per home, Mr. Speaker. It's clear that the more things change, the more they stay the same with these Liberals. More bureaucracy, higher deficits, and slower home building. And we also know that 100,000 construction workers could be out of a job because of this Liberal plan. Mr. Speaker, they're creating more jobs for bureaucrats in Ottawa and job losses for Canadians across the country. Why is the Prime Minister continuing down this failed approach?
The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Build Canada Homes will bring together the right people with the right mandate under one roof. Importantly, a focus of Build Canada Homes will be to use modern construction methods with Canadian skilled trade workers and Canadian materials. The 6 sites that we've mentioned is just the first tranche of projects that will build 4,000 new homes. We're looking to build hundreds of thousands of homes for Canadians. We look forward to the proposals and the applications from the members opposite for supportive housing in their communities.
The member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised to deliver double amount of homes built in Canada. Instead, they're down by 16%. It's no surprise. Just look at who the Prime Minister put in charge. The Housing Minister oversaw a 150% surge in home prices and doubled rent prices when he was the Mayor of Vancouver. He even stated on record that home prices shouldn't go down. Now we learned that 100,000 construction jobs could be lost. For jobs for bureaucrats in Ottawa. Job losses for construction workers. With records like these, why should Canadians believe this government will ever build affordable homes?
The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your new government has a credible and ambitious plan to tackle the housing crisis and to build at a scale not seen since the Second World War. We are going to get affordable homes built with Build Canada Homes, which will be using Canadian skilled trades, Canadian materials, and modern methods of construction. This is building on the work we've already done to stimulate the housing economy by getting the federal government back into the business of building affordable homes, by cutting the GST for first-time home buyers, and by cutting municipal development charges. We look forward to doing that work with all of you.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government is once again hitting Canadian families hard. On July 15th, the Liberals quietly announced a 3% increase in CMHC premiums. Instead of reducing premiums like we suggested, they're increasing them. This will translate into an increase in costs of $500 per Canadian family per year. This is unacceptable. When will this government finally start thinking about Canadian families instead of constantly creating inflation?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. CMHC is getting to work on building supportive housing, affordable housing. We have financing that is being released at a scale that's not been seen in generations. We know CMHC has a proven track record of delivering. We have seen that over the last 10 years with affordable housing and supportive housing that is built in this country at a scale not seen.
Good job. The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, it gets worse. The Liberal government announced the construction of 4,000 homes at a cost of $13 billion. That is $3.2 million per door. Give the contracts to people in my riding. In Beauce, with $3.2 million, we can build 15 doors, not one. In Beauce, with $13 billion, we could build not 4,000 homes, but 60,000. Can anyone explain to me why, with the Liberals, it will cost 15 times more? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, Canada is dealing with the housing crisis. During the last election campaign, it was made clear that it was time to build, and that means building at a rate never seen in over a generation. That is why we've launched a program focused on building affordable housing on a large scale to meet the needs of Canadians across the entire housing spectrum. That includes the first injection of funds that will create 4,000 units.
Dismayed, deceived, dollars, $1 billion. And now former Transport Minister was dismayed when I asked her about the Liberals funding BC Ferries to build 4 new ships at a Chinese state-owned shipyard back in June. Turns out her office knew about the deal weeks earlier, according to the Globe and Mail yesterday. Canadians deserve transparency on the reported national security concerns with this deal. The Liberals promised Buy Canadian. When will they stop investing in China's economy and cancel the $1 billion loan?
The Parliamentary Secretary to Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We share the disappointment that BC Ferries has gone forward with this procurement, and it's important to note that no Canadians bid on this work. We are now laser focused on buying Canadian. What we need to do as a government is ensure that work is being done by Canada, in Canada, by Canadian workers, using Canadian materials. It's time to build. It's time to buy Canadian.
Hear, hear. Member for Cullerton, Malahat Langford.
The Liberals know full well that no Canadian shipyard could justify the multi-million-dollar cost to build on this major capital project, as contracts were designed with Chinese cheap labor, low worker safety standards, and minimal environmental regulations in mind. So now billions of dollars of printed money is going out of our economy and into China's. The solution? Let's build new ferries here in Canada. When will this self-proclaimed great economist Prime Minister put Canadian workers and the Canadian economy first and cancel the $1 billion loan?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, this is a Crown corporation in British Columbia. This federal government is investing massively in shipbuilding across the country. We're building ships in Quebec. We're building ships in Halifax. We're building ships in Vancouver. Irving Shipyards alone in Halifax employs 2,400 workers, with 10,000 additional jobs created across the country in its supply chain. Mr. Speaker, we are serious about rebuilding Canada's shipbuilding capacity. We're in the middle of it. We're building 6 Arctic and offshore patrol ships, 15 Canadian surface combatants, and 2 joint support ships. Mr. Speaker, we're getting the work done.
Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
More than 52,000 Canadians have died since the addictions crisis was declared a public health emergency in 2016. Over 16,000 of those deaths were in BC, Mr. Speaker, including heartbreaking losses in Nanaimo Ladysmith. Yet, this Liberal government has quietly extended overdose prevention site exemptions by a year while failing to expand treatment and recovery. Why are the Liberals doubling down on temporary measures while leaving us waiting for the treatment and recovery beds we desperately need?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government understands the devastating impact the drug and overdose crisis has had on families and communities in every quarter of the country. We must use every tool at our disposal to fight this crisis. That means cracking down on drugs and prosecuting drug trafficking, and making sure communities, Indigenous people, and community healthcare organizations have the tools they need to connect more people to treatment and vital services faster. We will work with all partners at all levels to put an end to this tragic public health crisis.
Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Overdose prevention sites were meant to be temporary, Mr. Speaker, but this Liberal government just extended their legal exemption by a year without consulting local governments or residents. Nanaimo City Council debated spending $412,000 of taxpayers' money to fence off City Hall because of issues tied to our downtown overdose prevention site, and it still has a deferred motion on the books calling for its closure. Will the minister admit that bypassing communities was wrong and commit to real consultation, treatment, and recovery?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, my honourable colleague, for the question. Our government understands this really impacting our community, and we share we share the compassion, and we're empathize with the situation. As I mentioned before, we will continue to work with partners at all levels to make sure that we provide the support that's needed and to end this public health crisis.
The Honourable Member for Argenteuil-La-Petite-Nation. Mr. Speaker, agriculture is at the forefront for many people in Canada. We're seeing an increasing global instability, in part because of China's unfair tariffs on Canadian products like pork, canola, and aquaculture. The Prime Minister and his cabinet colleagues met with Premier Moe and other key industry players this week in Ottawa. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada provide this House with an update on the assistance available to Canadian farmers in response to these Chinese tariffs? The Parliamentary Secretary. My colleague is quite right, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture is a pillar of our economy, and in order to support our producers who are dealing with these completely unjustified tariffs from China, we have added an extra $75 million to the agri-marketing program to help develop new markets, and we've also amended the clean fuel regulations. We will never let down our producers, those who put food on our tables.
Mr. Speaker, an investigation into the Liberals' failed vaccine injury support program revealed the Liberals gave away over $50 million to a high-priced consulting firm called Oxero. The consulting firm pocketed $36 million in administration fees, while over 1,700 Canadians are still waiting on their claims. After Conservatives demanded an investigation, the Liberals were forced to cancel the contract. The Liberal minister knows unqualified consultants took millions of tax dollars without delivering results. So when will Canadians get their money back?
Here, here.
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Vaccine Injury Support Program was created to provide support to vulnerable Canadians. The alleged behavior is completely unacceptable. The Public Health Agency of Canada accelerating the audit of Zero and its management of the program, and will make the results of this audit public once available. We're bringing administration of the program internally, which will align with other G7 countries and Quebec, will ensure that taxpayers' dollars are being spent appropriately and support Canadians who have been negatively impacted.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals put $50 million away to support those who were legitimately injured by COVID vaccines. That money is all spent. The only problem is 70% of it went to consultants rather than the people who were legitimately injured. What's worse, 1,700 people haven't even had their claims processed. They haven't even heard back. Why is it that every time the Liberals say they're going to spend taxpayer money to support Canadians, it's their consultant friends who end up getting rich?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The program was created to provide support to vulnerable Canadians, and as I mentioned before, the alleged behavior is unacceptable. The Public Health Agency of Canada accelerating the audit of Zero and its management of the support program, and we'll make sure the results of this audit is made public once available. We're bringing administration of the program internally, which aligns with G7 countries, and we'll make sure that taxpayers' dollars are well spent. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. in my riding last year, there was a town hall on health. Canadians realize that our policies and system aren't preventative, they're always reactionary. And the healthcare system is costing taxpayers dearly, and there are many avoidable deaths. Canada still has no national strategy around physical activity. How much longer will we have to wait for the Liberal government to take action on this important subject? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Health. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question.
To improving the overall health and well-being of people of Canada, healthy habits such as balanced diet, regular physical activity, and active lifestyle are essential to supporting quality of life and long-term well-being of Canadians. We're collaborating with all partners, and I look forward to working with you directly on advancing any of the issues that you are experiencing in your community. Thank you.
The member for Oakville West.
Mr. Speaker, in an increasingly uncertain world, Canada must be prepared to protect our people, secure our sovereignty, and work with our allies. That's why our government, making historic investments in our armed forces and committed to reach the NATO's 2% spending target by the end of the fiscal year. Can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Secretary of State for Defence Procurement share with this House how our investments will strengthen Canada's defence industrial base and create good jobs for Canadian workers?
Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank my colleague for the question. It's true. Not only are we making generational investments in the Canadian Armed Forces to reach our NATO target, we are going to leverage and grow Canada's defence industry to create and support good-paying jobs, get the equipment that our forces need, and deliver to our allies. We will be launching Canada's defence industrial strategy to protect Canadian sovereignty, safeguard our security, and create long-term opportunities for our workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Souris Moose Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, Canadian canola farmers are being punished by crippling Chinese tariffs. Yet this Liberal government, they just shrug their shoulders. Instead of fighting for market access, they've responded in the most liberal way possible, creating more government programs. But farmers don't want handouts. They want a trade deal. When will this Prime Minister stop hiding behind bureaucratic band-aids and finally get to work making a real trade deal for Canadian canola farmers?
The Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, our Prime Minister, our government is working really hard to resolve these unfair tariff from China on our producer, on our canola producer, our pork producer, and pea producer. And also, Mr. Speaker, we don't wait for that to be resolved. We are proposing to double the advance payment program for canola farmer. We also added $75 million in agri-marketing program. We have also opened the market for biofuel. We will stand
The member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Alarming reports reveal Canada will miss our 2030 climate targets, yet this Liberal government is abandoning key climate policies they once called essential. Before entering politics, this Prime Minister said he believed in climate action, but now in office, he's ripping policies right out of the Conservatives' playbook. Canadians know economic development must be sustainable. Will the Liberals deliver nation-building projects like the NDP's East-West electricity grid to provide low-cost, clean energy to Canadians and enhance Canada's sovereignty?
Yes.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague from Vancouver for the question. Our government, Canada's emissions are now 41% lower today than they have been in the past. Canada's climate plan is designated for our economy and trading realities, and it plays to our strengths in clean energy, critical minerals, and innovation. I'm proud to stand on this side of the House as a father of 2 young children. We're working for today, we're working for tomorrow, we're working for future generations, we're working for 6, 7 generations ahead, and I'm proud to be on this side.
The member for Nunavut.
The hunters and trappers organizations protect Inuit lands and wildlife. The environmental assessment process is not balanced. Mining companies have millions to coax Nunavut milk to extract minerals. Hunters and trappers organizations barely have enough just to participate.
Shame.
Article 5.7.13 of the Nunavut Agreement is not being fulfilled.
Shame.
Will the Liberals finally uphold its legal obligations in the Nunavut Agreement and fully fund the Hunters and Trappers organizations?
Yes.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Koyanami to my colleague from Nunavut for her important question. This is certainly an issue that we will take note of, and I look forward to bringing back a forthright answer back to my Nunavut colleague. Thank you for the question.
That brings question period to an end. Daily routine of business, tabling of documents, introduction of government bills. Mr. Fraser, seconded by Mr. Ali, moves for leave to introduce a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Criminal Code, Hate Propaganda, Hate Crime, and Access to Religious or Cultural Places. This motion is deemed adopted. Mr. Fraser, seconded by Mr. Ali, moves that the bill be now read a first time and be printed. This motion is deemed adopted.
First reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet de loi.
When shall the bill be read a second time? At the next sitting of the House. Introduction of government bills, statements by ministers, reports from interparliamentary delegations, présentation de rapport de
Presenting reports from committees.
dépôt de projet de loi.
Introduction of private members' bills.
Members